I quit Adobe. About 3, almost 4 months ago, I cancelled my Adobe subscription. Well, almost, all except for Adobe Acrobat, because I still wanted to be able to edit PDFs and I still wanted access to Adobe fonts because I use it to be able to put my fonts on my websites. But I left behind Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere Pro, all those programs that I had been using. I've been using Adobe since I was a teenager. My dad used to bring home his laptop from work and it had Photoshop on it, and I would create these crazy gradient designs to make for title pages and stick in my school books. And over the years, I grew more and more in love with Adobe to the point that I was using it daily, and it was hard to even imagine not having it. However, things have changed over the last few years, and for months I'd been thinking about leaving Adobe. Then finally, earlier this year, I finally called it quits. I purchased Affinity during the Black Friday sales last year, and then I waited until my yearly subscription came to an end, and I finally hit that button to cancel my subscription. The idea of learning a new software initially felt very overwhelming, but I really just threw myself in the deep end. I said, I'm not going to wait until I've learned how to use it before I quit. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to quit and I'm just going to have to figure it out. So let's talk about it. You're probably wondering, well, why'd you do this? Why did you cancel? Well, first of all, I have a baby this year, which means I'm just not doing big client jobs. I'm just not needing to actually use Adobe as much. And I'm not using it for things that are making money. If I am using it, it was more for personal things or just for some content. But it's not for those big projects that make money. And so it started to feel like, well, is it worth it to have it? And so I started to question if it was even worth paying all that money for it because I'm just not making money from it. Also, the price was about to leap up a lot. I had managed to get myself a discount for quite a few years by being a loyal customer, but it got to the point that they weren't going to offer me that anymore, and the price was going up, which meant I was going to be paying more than double what I had already been paying, and that felt like a lot, especially when I wasn't using it as much. I'd also found that I was starting to use Canva a lot more than Adobe. This is because I was creating Canva templates and also because I was teaching people how to DIY design and use Canva. And so most of the things that I was doing to make money actually involved Canva rather than Adobe. And so I was finding I was using that a lot more. Basically, my business model had been shifting and it was moving more towards making money out of Canva rather than Adobe. And so paying all that money for a software that wasn't my main income driver felt like a lot. And speaking of teaching DIY design, the fact that I am teaching DIYers meant I really wanted to know the software that they would be using. Of course, I've been getting really good at using Canva and really familiar with it, but I also wanted to learn the Affinity software because I know some DIYers want to know that slightly more advanced software. So if I get to know that better, it's also going to help me better teach other people. Then there was general subscription fatigue. I don't know about you, but I get a bit sick of having so many different subscriptions. It can really add up and it can start to feel very bloated and you can get a bit over it. When I see an opportunity for pay once for a lifetime usage of something, I really am tempted to jump at that because it feels so much better than that constant every single month paying for something, especially if occasionally you want a month off. If you're away or you've got some time off from working, the fact is you have to keep paying no matter what. And so sometimes that can feel a bit frustrating. And I also believe it makes your business safer. If you can cut back on your subscriptions and have more things that you paid in full, it actually makes your business safer for in tough times. If you go through tough times where you're just not bringing in much income or you need to take a break or things like that, if your monthly non-negotiable costs are quite low, it's a lot easier to keep your business going, just keep it ticking along rather than having to completely close things down, especially if you sell things like courses where you need some sort of platform where things are constantly running. If you have to pay for that all the time, but maybe you'll have a season of where things are quiet or you can't do much, having to keep paying for that can sometimes get really difficult. And so if you've got something that's lifetime, it means no matter what, you can keep your business running. Because I've actually seen people where, maybe they've had kids and they've decided they need a season where they have time off. They've had to close their business down because they're paying so much in subscriptions and they just can't maintain that. So I've been able to constantly maintain my business always is running no matter what's going on in my life by keeping those non-negotiable costs down. Now in seasons when I'm doing a lot more, I can add on different things, but they're not things that are that constant subscription where no matter what you have to keep paying for them. And speaking of which, if you are looking for a course platform that is pay once for a lifetime usage so that no matter what you can keep your business running and keep those courses live for your students, you should check out Teachery. They have a lifetime offer and it is really amazing, honestly, because the lifetime offer is similar to paying for a lot of platforms for just 1 year, yet you're getting this for life. So I definitely recommend you check that out. I love Teachery, and it is great for that because it means no matter what, you've got your course up for your students. I found it really disappointing where I bought a course and then years later the person has shut their business down and it's all gone and I can't access it anymore. And if you've got the ability to not have to worry about that you don't have those constant costs, you can just leave it running all the time, it really is great because you know that you're never going to let your students down. You can leave that running for years on end, and no matter what goes on in your business, they can continue to access it. So if that's something you're interested in learning more about, you can find the link to it in my description down below. And of course, I know there's been a bit of controversy around Adobe lately. I know there's a lot of people that have felt like they just don't care about their users as much. And so there has been a little bit of an icky feeling about them as well at the moment too, which has made me also think about what alternatives are out there. All right, so how's it been going with life without Adobe? Well, the first month was probably the hardest. It felt like I was in the deep end where I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to learn these new softwares and didn't really know how to use, where I was like, oh, I just need to be able to do this thing quickly, and oh, I know how to do it in that. And, oh, it's so frustrating. I can't just go open that program. I had to go and do the Googling. I had to go and work at things out. It took a lot longer to figure things out. It was a little bit frustrating, but bit by bit, I started learning new things. So the switch I made was I went from Adobe and Illustrator to Affinity Designer. I went from Adobe InDesign to Affinity Publisher. I went from using Premiere Pro to using DaVinci Resolve. And of course, I was continuing to use Canva as well. That first month really felt like I was rewiring my brain. I was trying to get out of those old habits of remembering, oh, these shortcuts, or this is the way I do it, different processes. I had to rewire my mind into new ways of doing things. So yes, in that first month, it was a little bit frustrating. So then month 2, this is where I realized the easiest way to learn was by having real projects. So when it came to video editing, I was using DaVinci Resolve to edit all my YouTube videos. So I had to just jump in, figure it out, Google things as I went when I got stuck, and just learn as I went. Then when it came to learning the Affinity software, I started working on a collaboration project that was an illustrated book. And this required me to use Affinity Designer to create the illustrations and Affinity Publisher to put together the book. And so quickly I was having to learn things as I went. I had a real project that had real needs where I had to figure out how to do particular things to put it together. And so I was forced to figure stuff out. And that really helped me learn quickly because I wasn't just sitting there watching all these tutorials, just randomly learning things. I was trying to learn the things that were useful to me, that, you know, were the processes that I needed to be able to use to create what I do. And so I was having to quickly learn how to do those things. Then month 3 was when my confidence grew. I started to feel more familiar in these new software. I also started to learn that just because something's familiar doesn't make it better. There were sometimes ways that I noticed Affinity would do things or DaVinci Resolve would do things that I was like, hey, that's actually a pretty cool way to do that, or hey, that's actually kind of a better way of doing it. And so I realized just because I'm familiar with Adobe doesn't necessarily mean that it does everything the best. Affinity actually has some pretty cool ways of doing things, and so does DaVinci Resolve. So where are things now? Well, I'm no longer feeling that Adobe tension of, oh, if only I could just open that software, it'd be so much easier. I now feel really confident and more at ease in this new software. It's starting to feel so much more familiar, and I'm feeling a lot more confident in my decision to leave Adobe behind. Now, I know this isn't for everyone. I'm not telling you to quit Adobe. If you love it, if it works for you, if it is perfect for the kind of things that you are doing, I'm not telling you to leave. I'm more just trying to give people that are considering leaving the confidence to know that it is doable, that it's not so overwhelming, because for a long time I thought it's just too overwhelming. Trying to learn a new software, it's too much. I don't have the time for that. Maybe when I was younger I could have figured that out, but it's too late now. I've realized that no, it is doable. You can do it. I've got a very busy life. I've got, 2 older kids, a baby, we're homeschooling, I'm trying to run my business, trying to keep the household running, all these things. I've got a lot going on, yet I managed to make the switch. So I just want to give you the confidence to know that if you're considering it, it can be done. If you'd like to learn an easy DIY design software, you can check out my starter guide video to Canva so you can get started and learn how to design in an easy to use software. So thanks for watching and happy creating.